everybody. It's time again for the Beer Hammer Podcast. So grab your dice, your pretzels, your whatever, and let's play some games. Or instead of playing, we'll just chat incessantly about them. Because that's what we do here. We chat incessantly. Today's might be a little bit shorter show because we have been returning from a long hiatus. I've upgraded some equipment, done a few things, and due to cosmic circumstances, I am joined only with Jeremy, who has been with us before. Say hi, Jeremy.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
You didn't say hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
That's much better.
Thank you.
I like it when you stare at me like that. Yeah. We recently had our first battle day of the Hobby League 2019 for Vendetta Games. That's one of the big things that I kind of started putting together last year, and it's grown over the from the first year to the second year, which is amazing. I like how much participation there was, and I wanted to thank everybody for coming out to that. That's been one of the big major things that's happened since our last podcast, amongst other cool stuff. And Jeremy's joining us, because he was part of it. He can talk about his stuff that he did.
It was a very good time. A lot of people came out, lots of cool looking models. Everyone seemed to be having a really good time.
Yeah, about halfway through the Hobby League that I started last year, I pretty much came to Jeremy and said, you like games, so you're going to play Warhammer 40K. And I threw a bunch of models at him, and then he bought a few, and then he started painting. And he's been one of my recent converts into the loyal faithful of the Imperium's creed.
For the Emperor.
Yeah. Oh, totally. For the Emperor. On new stuff coming up, I can tell you that we have been actually beta testing the snot out of Malifaux M3E open beta. So we're definitely going to talk about that because Jeremy's got some experiences too, because that's mostly what we've been doing.
Absolutely great game.
Yes, it has been an awesome game. And at the Hobby League, I got to show Derek the M3E open beta, and he was just like, I could see the eyes lighting up at the end of turn one with the whole, dude, I love this game.
His keg golem looked absolutely amazing.
Oh, the whiskey golem?
Yeah, the whiskey golem. That looked amazing the way he had it painted.
If people ask him nicely, they very well may... he very well may post it to the Beer Hammer Associates page. I think he has before, but he might do it again just for us.
Yeah, I said I was going to post mine the last time I was here, and I forgot to do that. So I should promise again and see if that happens.
And just like your ex-girlfriend, his promises are relatively empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, doing that, I actually picked up the Free Folk starter set, but I haven't had a chance to even open it up yet. And been busy kind of painting and doing things like that and working on my Gene Stealer Colts for the 40K Hobby League. I was originally going to do Eldar, and then I really started painting the models, and I kind of was like, I don't really like painting Eldar very much. This is not as much fun as I thought it would be. Yeah.
Haven't had a chance to paint any Eldar yet, so I wouldn't know yet.
I mean, you might like it. It's different. And and then I switched back to my Gene Stealer Colts, which I had started before. Actually, kind of right before we went crazy with Kill Team, I'd kind of started them and never got much further with them. And then I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to finish these guys out and see what happens.
They were fun to paint.
Yeah, they're fun to paint. Jeremy helped me a little bit with them because, well...
Time.
Yeah. In case you didn't know, I have a very demanding job because I run a business and 78-ish hours on the week and 3 kids and everything else I do, and switching an army 2 weeks before the event. So I had to, get 500 points of infantry on Gene Stealer Colts painted in 2 weeks. That was a bit rough.
Yeah. That's short notice.
Yeah. So made it happen. We did it. We had fun. New things coming out. Games Workshop has been announcing amazing and awesome releases by the bucket load. Shadow Spear. I got my box on pre-order.
That does look really cool.
Yeah, with all the Chaosy dudes and the nice little sniper. They're the Phobos Vanguard Marines. They look really fancy. And that spider demon engine construct thing that is in the Chaos
just
side
looks
of that.
nasty.
Yeah, and then they announced at Gamma, they announced they've got another one that it's like a Chaos Marine, but he almost looks more like Mechanicus. But he's on like this crazy looking, like it's almost a cross between a spider and like a centipede looking mechanical demon engine thing with like the multiple little hook arms on the face. And
so all kinds of warm and cuddly.
Oh, yeah. He'd probably definitely bring your grandma cookies when she wasn't feeling good in the hospital. Yeah. That's what I have a feeling that guy would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. That's chaos for you. Then he'd burn her house down.
Or maybe. You never know. But yeah, they've announced some of those models. They have announced for Kill Team, they're going to be releasing rules to bring elites into your Kill Team units. Yes, so you can actually use a lot more stuff. And much to y'all's dismay, they've also announced that they're releasing rules to put the Adeptus Custodes into Kill Team.
That'll be interesting.
The Custodian Guard. Guess what I'm going to be running around as a Kill Team?
What's that?
Custodian Guard.
Yeah, there you go.
To literally just fuck people's faces off.
Yeah. Because I have like 2 models.
Probably, but not like I'm going to care. They're custodians.
Yeah.
They will literally, 2 models will just ruin your day. I actually, when
you do that, we're definitely going to have to throw it up against my 20 Astra Militarum list.
Won't be a problem.
Yeah.
Seriously, I played when
It'd be fun to watch them fall like dominoes.
Oh, yeah. When I played Cody and I was trying to teach him a little bit about Warhammer 40K and stuff like that and kind of, start breaking things down. So we played a small game, I think it was like 1,000-point game of his Space Wolves. And I was like, oh, yeah, because I actually had limited success with the Custodes prior because I just didn't have enough models. So I'm like, your model count's going to be way higher than mine. I'm going to do okay and I'll hold my own and you'll get to see how this works. I was immediately apologizing to him after turn 2 because I was like, dude, I'm really sorry about this. I had one custodian wiped out an entire unit of 10 Space Wolves.
Wow.
Yeah. 1 turn of shooting in close combat. Boop. Unit gone. Deleted. 1 custodian. One of them. And I'm like, so yeah, that's pretty crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you, buddy. But it was good times. So, since we are going to be doing at the end of this podcast, we are going to be doing a format, kind of for the actual Hobby League people. That's going to be almost I don't know, we're going to try our hand at some, impromptu voice acting kind of stuff, almost like an Imperial Newswire kind of thing. Maybe we'll do that.
This day in history. Your mama slapped your daddy. But anyway, we're going to do that and, go over kind of the results of the Hobby League. And we'll at least get maybe a dozen more listeners because they'll have a vested interest to fast forward to the end and then laugh at us next time we show up there. Good times. Yeah.
Yep. So, but the good old fancy stuff. Our games were cool. I was playing, like I said, Gene Stealer Cults. Jeremy was playing Astra Militarum.
Throwing down the guard.
Yep. And who was your first battle against?
First battle, I'm so bad with names, I forget my opponent's name.
Well, the faction.
Oh, the faction. That would have been Tyrannid.
Well, was it Tyrannid or was it Gene Stealer Cult?
No, it was Tyrannid.
Oh, it was just straight up Tyrannid?
Yeah, I think you might have had a little Gene Stealer Cult in there, but it was mostly, straight up Tyrannids.
Oh, okay.
All melee combat, big, oogly, clawy things.
How'd that go? Give us a little battle report.
Great for me. It didn't go. So he honestly didn't want to play at first. A couple other players had to convince him to actually play the game, and he was convinced that it was going to be one-sided and not go well, and he turned out to be right. It didn't go well at all. I think I still had about 400 of my points left after I tabled him still on the table.
I will say this for those who are playing new, and those who are new players and new gamers and new to the hobby. Don't let that happen. It's real easy to do that. I do that. I've looked at a dude's list and been like, I'm screwed. This guy's got all the tools to handle me. This guy's got all the stuff. Don't ever do it that way, because what happens is you get yourself in that mindset and then you're gonna make the mistakes on the tabletop.
Yeah, I said I'm still very much learning in the game, but I got the impression from what I kind of did a little research on it online afterwards and looking up how the new rules and the Tyranids work, and I think he could have done a better job getting his Tyranids into my line. He was always going to struggle, and maybe he's right. Maybe he never stood a chance of winning, but he could have done better. I understand with the blips and being able to use the points, he could have gotten his people a lot closer and mitigated some of that, just my ability to just keep shooting at him from the gun line.
If he had blips, he was playing Gene Stealer Colts.
Yeah, so I guess he was Gene Stealer Colt then.
Yeah. Which I think that was Austin was one of the other Gene Stealer Colt players. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that was his name. I remember talking to him a little bit when he was playing. I believe the other gentleman's name was John that was playing Astra Militarum stuff towards the end. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing is if you defeat yourself in your head before you've even played the game, then you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to do it. And the other thing too is,
that's also an opportunity to try something.
Right.
Maybe, think outside the box. Like if you think you're already going to lose, well then throw a Hail Mary.
Right.
Do something weird, because, if you're already going to lose, you might as well experiment. And who knows, maybe you discover something. Or maybe you just, fail epically and it's hilarious.
Right. And the other limitation that I'll go into is unless you have been playing this game for a long time, unless you are just used to tabletop miniature war games and how they work and the ebb and flow and all that kind of stuff, your best bet, too, is to do a little bit of footwork, read your codex, know how your rules work. I always buy the data cards because honestly, reading the stratagems in the back of the book is like the most boring shit in the world to me, and it will put me to sleep in 10 seconds. But I get the data cards, and so I'll sit there and flip through them while my opponent's moving his models and doing things. I'll flip through them and kind of plan out, all right, I might need this one next turn. Okay, this one's relevant. I might need this one this turn. I have the unit to use this one. Maybe I want to use this one. And I kind of have them, in a stack on the top so that I've got them, kind of set up so that I know, okay, I can do this little bonus thing. I can do that little bonus thing. And giving me an idea of what I can do.
Yeah.
Because, it's kind of like you're going in to fix a car and you have a toolbox. And if you don't know what's in that toolbox or what tools they are or how to, use them, you're not going to fix that car.
Yeah. If you don't have the cards, labeled sticky notes on your codex.
Yeah. There's guys who do that.
To grab it. Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that people do to kind of give them an edge or give them reminders throughout their game, of what they can do, what certain units do, how the synergies work together. And a lot of Warhammer players aren't used to thinking about the game like that because it didn't used to be the way it is now, where there's a lot of that kind of more thinking on your feet kind of stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons 8th edition has really taken off is because there is more of that, oh shit, what the hell do I really do?
Yeah.
So what about your second game?
That was against Salamanders.
Yep, that was Gabe. That was the gentleman.
Gabe against the Salamanders, and he did better than the Tyranids did by a little bit, but it was the same thing, just the mortar line, and he had so much of his units that had to get within range to get to me. And one thing I also noticed, I brought a command squad, and I noticed this from both players. And as a command squad with a las cannon and 2 snipers in it, really not that bad, those 2 snipers in it, but it affected how the other players played their characters. They both had a character that really should have just been, rushed right on in to just wreak as much havoc as it possibly could. And in both times, they either held it back or tried to take it the long way around and not get hit by these snipers. And it made it easier for my army to deal with, even though, in the one game, the snipers never even got a shot off. They were always just not able to get an angle on him, but it changed how he played. And,
right.
Yeah, and I noticed that a lot, but in both instances, it really was just the mortar line that just chewed up his infantry and took away his options. And they, even though I took out the little fry first, the big guys couldn't really do enough damage to my massive model count to really win the day at that point.
Yep, and that's where sometimes having that model count is a big, big help.
Yeah. That's what I've noticed about it. That is it's almost counterintuitive. I think a lot of people would think of the game, but when you are playing that big model count, a lot of the bigger, nastier models really aren't your problem. Some of them are. Some of them have the ability to wield out lots of damage, multiple targets, and all that kind of thing. But a lot of them, it's like, wow, so he's going to kill 3 models. That weaker group of infantry right there could kill up to 7. So
right.
They're my priority, even though intuitively, yeah, they're worth less points. And, and there's more of them, they don't seem as nasty, but since there's more of them and they could potentially do more to me in a single turn, they're my priority and easier to take out. So you can actually, swing the tide of battle much more quickly by removing those weaker units.
Now, how long did Gabe's scouts last in that list? Because he had...
they were out. He went first, and then I took them out on turn 1 because he brought them right out and put them on the objective, and I just let my mortars sweep them off the board.
Yep. I mean, me personally, I would have had them out, and I would have had them up in your face as quick as possible too.
Yeah, that's what you should have done.
Yeah, because that's another thing is you can tie things up by engaging them in close combat that way.
Yeah, and it also would have kept my mortars from being able to shoot at them.
Right.
Yeah,
and then they would have been in close combat or kind of whatever, so that you can do that. Mortars have indirect fire, so there's nowhere else on the board safer than in close combat.
Yeah.
And scouts themselves are going to be stronger than Astra Militarum in close combat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even just base profile. Second, I know he had the assault marines, and he was playing salamanders, and I don't know all their rules and their specific things, but I know that there are different stratagems that allow assault marines a bigger, nastier, better charge.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to shoot at me rather than charge in. I think he just saw that this huge number of models and figured it was better to use his guns.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been like, ooh, squishies.
Yeah.
Let's charge right in.
Yeah, total paper tiger.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's where one of the things I really like about this edition versus 7th and 6th and even 5th and 4th to some extent is, everybody's kind of always had given Warhammer the criticism of a pay-to-play game.
Yeah.
And, the whoever buys the biggest and best hobby toys is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays it's not so much like that because...
my list had nothing expensive in it. I mean, It was all pretty much basic units. I mean, the biggest, nastiest thing was a Primaris Psyker.
Yeah, well, I mean, almost all of ours were, our lists were all pretty simple infantry stuff. We were just playing 500-point games.
Yeah.
Doing kind of the basic thing. I mean, most people didn't even have a full battalion. I think Gabe did.
I don't remember if he did or not.
Yeah, he did because he had 2 scouts, a unit of assault marines, which I think were troops for salamanders.
Yeah, because it's tactical scouts and...
Normally it's tactical scouts and intercessors.
Yeah, that's it.
But certain chapters can consider certain things different things. So I don't know if his assault marines were considered troops or not, but and I can't remember whether he was a patrol detachment or whether he actually had a battalion. But he did only have a patrol detachment. Yeah, that's right. So because he had the 2 units of scouts and he had the assault marines, and then he had his smash captain. And that was all he had, and that got him, his 3 CP. Yeah. But still, with 3 CP, you can either fight again, and some of the stratagems will give you 3d6 on that charge.
Yeah.
So you can get in there and start tearing shit up. And, those guys had 3 up invulnerable saves.
Yeah.
So
they were making lots of them, too. It was just the sheer volume of dice that were getting thrown at them.
Right.
And then, playing Cadian and using the aim where I'm re-rolling all my misses on that huge mob of mortars. It's just that got the job done. Everything else was basically just to keep you away from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, I had nothing to deal with a 3-up invulnerable other than just weight of attacks.
Yeah.
And what got through for me was the heavy rock drill on the Gene Stealer Colts when I played him. And that thing just did work. I mean, it just goes in and just slaps mortal wounds all over the unit. And because the Acolyte Hybrid was getting 2 attacks with it, I'm getting an extra additional attack, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. I'm at least making 1. And if you fail that save on that 1 attack, which, I got lucky and he failed to save, and boop, there I am. When I was going after a Smash Captain who had the 3-up Storm Shield invulnerable, I sat there and just was like, cool. He failed one, and that was the end of it. And then that thing just started slapping wounds on him because I rolled good.
I really wish I got an opportunity to see some of Paul's games with his racer army. That just looked like it was going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. I love Paul's idea behind it, that just, on the planet, the Speed Freak cults are just zipping through going, woo, we're running races, and they just don't even realize that all this stuff is going on.
It gave me an idea that it could be funny for a game if we set up a big table and made it like a race. And you had say we get up to like our 750, 1,000 point, whatever, we're going to do our normal game, but everyone brings that build. And you have you guys are positioned here on the map, and you're positioned here on the map, and you're fighting this person and this person, the whole thing. But at the same time, there's a racetrack, and you've got, 2 armies of racers, and they're just trying to make their way through, and everybody else gets like bonus points, like in, Galactica, when the one would go across the top and you got to get it. Mm-hmm. So you're still fighting these guys, but while the racers are going by and they got to make a couple of laps, if you could take one out, you get some bonus points.
Right.
So you got 2 different games. You got all these games going on, but they're all interactive. I thought it'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know how it'd work, but that would be funny.
Yeah.
And with my game with him, like I said, I mean, the Rock Drill was great. The Gene Stealer cult deployment with the blips is super strong.
Seems like it would be.
I mean, you do have to use this stuff, and I think that was one of the things I asked Austin about when I was looking at his, because he built his list more with aberrants, and mine is more going towards the dirt bikes. I want to use a lot of the jackals. I love those models, man.
Yeah, they do look really cool.
Yeah, just dudes on dirt bikes.
Yeah,
and
some kind of 1980s teen action flick going on.
Right. So I mean, my 500 point list, it was hard to include them and do what I want to do. So I was like, well, cool. I'll build my base infantry, my battalion, right here at my 500 point total, which was awesome because that basically gave me, 8 command points coming in.
Yeah.
And because I knew from reading the codex, the little bit I perused through it, that I'm going to need those stratagems. I'm not going to do much without them.
Yeah.
And certain armies really need them. Certain armies don't. You know, you can play Eldar armies and not use as many stratagems and just rely more on your psychic powers and tear people up. But on Gene Stealer cults and things like that, you kind of have to have some of those to do the tricks and the shenanigans because your models aren't tough.
Yeah.
My Neophyte hybrids are toughness 3. My Acolyte hybrids are also toughness 3. Now they're strength 4, whereas the Neophytes are strength 3, but they're not tough. The Aberrants, they're actually tough. They're strong, but they're elites. They're not that. So he's coming in, and he may not have even had the command points to do a lot of the blip shenanigans that I did.
He still would have been battle forged at 3.
Well, yeah, he would have been battle forged at 3, but the thing that got me is that when you have a bunch of blips down, and then I spend a command point to put 4 or 5 extra blips down, I think it's 3 or 4 extra blips down compared to how many units I have, then you can't accurately guess what's going to pop out where.
Yeah.
Because I just lay them down all along my deployment.
Like against my army is more of a formation, so it doesn't really matter how you set up. I'm going to set up pretty much the same way regardless of who I take on. But what I think would have been more effective is there was that one ability where you could literally move the blip so far, then reveal your model, then take its movement. That I think would have been devastating against my army because you just would have been right up in my grill so much faster. I mean, that's like a whole turn faster that you would just be there, especially with him going first.
Right.
I mean, he could have in theory had someone in melee at the end of the first turn if he'd gotten that charge distance done right. And he got that roll right, and then I'd been sitting there like, okay, here we go. It's already happening.
Right. Or the other thing is, like I said, the other thing too would have been keep those assault marines in deep strike. Yeah. And then all you got to do, you weather turn 1, and once you got turn 1 weathered, you drop those guys 9 inches away, and you got to charge.
Yeah.
But whatever. What could have been is what could have been. That's part of strategizing for the game and strategizing for your list. You got to play to your strengths, and you got to look at the opponent's weaknesses. With you're going to set up kind of however, but at the same time, do you have, when you set yours up, do you have las guns on each flank?
No.
See?
Yeah, I only had the one las gun.
And so you don't know whether my Goliath rock
he did
grinder...
set up, right? Because I had mine out, and he had his blips, and he brought everything away from the las gun because I had the las gun on one side, and he brought it all the way over here.
My general thinking is I'm going to want to get up in that las gun's face and engage it as quick as possible because that's how I'm going to keep it from shooting me off the board.
Yeah.
It's because your las guns are what, heavy one? Or they multiple shots?
Heavy one.
They're heavy one?
Yeah. But the best part about that one is I had it in a command squad. So instead of it being a normal hitting on a 4, it was hitting on a 3-up.
Right. So, I mean, it hits better, but you're still looking at one shot.
Yeah.
But that's one shot that whatever it shoots at is probably getting deleted.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's getting that big D6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you're shooting it, if somebody's got heavier vehicles or whatever, every single turn it's vaporizing a dude,
Yeah.
And if it takes me, 2 turns to get to you, that's 2 guys out of my 5-man squad. I'm now down to about half of my effectiveness. So, that's what it is. But but that's the whole point. The blips don't let you know which side to put that las gun on because you don't know where, say, my vehicle's coming at.
Wow.
And then I'm on the other side of you. And of course you can fire, fire and line of sight through things, but depending on how the board's set up, you may have a harder time hitting it, or I may get a cover save because of where I've set it up or how I've set it up. A lot of different shenanigans with it. And that's what I love is those movement shenanigans are just amazing for that army.
Yeah.
And the way the synergies work with things and start making things work in that army. That's what I'm really looking forward to finding out because it's going to be amazing.
It does look like it'd be a fun one to play.
Yep, pretty much. So, in other news, the other thing I'm kind of a little scatterbrained here because, like I said, we haven't done this in a while, and being just 2 hosts, I'm used to the format of 3. But the other thing from the Gamma Trade Show is they are actually releasing a version of Age of Sigmar rules. That's basically an Age of Sigmar kill team.
Okay.
So you can play, it's like a smaller, skirmish-based game. I can't remember what it's called, like War Scry or something like that, or War Cry. I think it's Warhammer Age of Sigmar War Cry. And
fun.
It looks like it's going to be pretty cool. We love kill team.
Yes, we do.
Yep. I've heard the arena stuff is really good. We haven't messed with that. So
Arena?
It's a version of Kill Team that's set up more for like tournament and competitive play where it's a small board. It's called an arena. And you basically have it was the same size board, but you basically, it's supposed to be like an indoors, like kind of thing. And it's a little different. The rules are apparently slightly different, but that's coming.
I'll have to check that out.
Yup. So, that's coming out. They've released another expansion. They've now released 2 expansions for Blackstone Fortress.
Still haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, we need to play it one day.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we keep saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to come over more often. Like all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Snuggle.
Just gonna, take over a room. I live here now.
I mean, I'm kids might be upset because it'll probably be one of their rooms, but
I'm big and smelly.
That's fine. They'll handle it. Yeah. But that's the thing to keep an eye on. Warhammer community, you can see all these new releases and updates and neat things to talk about. Furthermore, we can go into some of the other stuff. Jesus, I'm not even sure what at this point.
Well, you got the final rules for Malifaux.
Yeah,
3rd edition. I haven't actually had a chance to see those myself yet, but apparently they're a done deal. They've finalized.
They're not final.
Oh, okay.
It is they released they made a release. They said this is going to be the end of the open beta.
So this is like the official beta then.
Yeah, these are kind of the not official beta. We're in the official beta.
Yeah.
This is the polished open beta rule set, basically. This is how we're going to leave it. We're only going to fix a few things and some wording and a little bit to do between now and the retail release with the rule book. But this is kind of how it's going to be. And then I think it was a week later, they popped out and said, "Oh, we were just kind of bullshitting you. Here you go. We might do another one in 2 weeks. We might not. We don't know exactly what we're doing yet. We're just going to kind of release this, and we've changed a few things.
I mean, you can't really fault them. I mean, they're kind of they're breaking new ground with doing a beta in this way. So you got to forgive them any kind of misstep or confusion because I mean, no one's ever done it this way before.
No, I don't fault them one bit. I mean, don't take my silliness for negativity.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing and awesome, and I'm glad that they kind of released another one. But this very well may be the last update until retail. We don't know for sure. There may be another one. But I went ahead and got it. And
it's all been a big troll. The real rules are going to be like completely different. They're going to go to dice. They're just going to abandon the cards entirely.
There would be a lot of people, I think, crying. I enjoy the Fate deck mechanic way too much. So, because it's just too cool. Yeah, I'm going to be enjoying that too, whenever it comes out. And I found, like I said, I found that M3E. You saw the cards.
Yeah, they look really good.
Yeah, it's actually a web app that lets you, it outputs them in a printable format. That's the M3E examples they have in the rule book. It's the same format they have in the rule book for what the M3E unit cards are supposed to look like and about the size they're supposed to be. And so that's about what the cards are going to look like now.
So what are they going to do? Like, if you already own the models, how are you going to get your hands on like the official cards if you wanted the ones that they sell? Are they going to be available, or are you going to have to go buy the model again, or are you just going to have to make your Hobo Hammer version and move on?
I would imagine that they're probably going to, like most things, and kind of what's been hinted at is that they're going to release, because they do release, the M2E rules are free on the web. And so they're probably going to release like a free version of the rule book on the web once it's out. And then they very well may release, the no frills, no fanciness cards. And then hopefully they'll release the actual like upgrade packs. Like you can buy like the cards for all the Arcanist models that are currently out and all the upgrade cards as a pack. I'm hoping they do that. I don't know whether they will.
I think it'd be awesome if they sold a box that had, every single model card in the game. Because even if I'm not running it, it's nice to have it to, look. Say, okay, what does that guy do?
Yeah.
And not be like, hey, what are you like? I'm just looking at myself while I'm playing. Like I got my own cards.
Yeah, when your opponent tries to pull one over on you, you can be like, hey, shithead, what are you doing? And this ability,
you must have a different card than I have, because my card says you full of shit.
Yeah, my card says you suck balls, bitch. What is that? That's not a bonus action, you slut. Yes, sir. More beer, please.
Yay, beer.
And Jeremy and I are drinking this fancy. What is this?
Highland Russian Imperial Stout.
Oh, Highland Russian Imperium Stout.
Yeah.
It's actually Imperial Stout, but I think that from now on we should change. Imperial, you don't use that word anymore.
Yeah.
It's all Imperium.
There you go.
Yeah. Hail GW.
Guard water.
Imperium, guard water. This is guard water. This is amazing.
It's good stuff.
But it is really good.
Growler.
Yep. Our local fancy growler that we all like to go hang out at because Nick is awesome.
Yes.
And Downtown Drafts is awesome.
There you go. By the way, can we give them a Downtown Drafts? Big shout out for them. We love you.
Yeah, big shout out for Seth and Amy and Nick and Lauren and whoever else is working there these days. I don't even know.
Yeah.
There's probably a couple.
Seth and Simon doing the open mic nights on Sundays, every other Sunday. Make sure you check it out.
Yeah, if you happen
on Mondays.
If you happen to be in the North Georgia area, if you're anywhere near Gainesville and whatnot, go to the square, check out Downtown Drafts. They're good stuff. They have lots of really awesome beer.
Yes, they do.
Anyway, shameless plug for somebody who's not a sponsor. I need to tell Nick he's got to give me money now.
Yeah, or at least buy us a beer.
Nick would laugh. He'd just be like, dude, are you serious? Shut the fuck up.
Hey, he might be like, give me $5 for using my name.
Damn it. That totally backfired. Actually, knowing Nick, he'd be like, so since you used my name and I didn't say you could, you get to tattoo me.
Aw. Nick. But you get to pick the tattoo and you just put something Warhammer on him. That'll learn him.
No, I just draw a dick on him.
There you go.
That's all I do. I just draw dicks on people. Anyway, no, I don't. I don't actually ever do that.
Once they pay for it.
Yeah, unless they want me to. I've never actually had anybody. I did have some people who came in and they said they wanted that, but we could tell by the giggling and the silliness in their eyes that they were full of shit.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, yeah, we don't appreciate that word.
Well, it's like the stupidest, weirdest tattoo like that I ever saw, and I didn't see it personally, so it could have been fake, but it was in one of those magazines, and it was like, what were they thinking? And it was a penis swastika.
That's too much.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
But I mean, hey,
yeah,
if you're a gay Nazi, go right on ahead.
Rock it out. Yeah,
yeah.
Where do those stack with juggalos?
Gay Nazis, yeah, they're right there with juggalos.
Yeah, okay.
I think they might be friends or more, depending.
Das Hatchet Man.
Yeah, das, yeah. Anyway, so back to Malifaux.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can tell you I have had experience with many of the crews, some of which I didn't really know what they did. And I can tell you that Malifaux right now, if you get into Malifaux, it is a game that you have to not only learn the nuances of the rules, but you also have to learn the nuances of each crew.
Yeah, not knowing your own crew is obviously extremely bad, but you really do kind of have to know your opponents as well. Because if all the different tricks that all the models can do, any one model could ruin your day if you're not paying attention.
Right, and some of that is you don't have to know the enemy's models as well, but your models is very important. Which is just like what we were talking about, for Warhammer. You really need to know your army. You really need to know what it does. Now, some of that you only find out. There is nothing wrong with playing test games.
Yeah.
I can tell you that like Sandeep, I didn't get big into Sandeep in Malifaux. I was kind of like, okay, I don't really see the point. I didn't understand the summoning rules, and I wasn't using the summoning, which is his big thing.
Yeah, because we were playing, and I was running over you, and then later on we figured out how your rules work, and we're like, oh, that should have not been that way.
Well,
if you'd have been using him correctly and some of the other things,
yeah,
it would not have been at all like it went down.
Yeah, he's got two main things. He hands out focus like candy, so you can get plus to all your flips.
Yeah,
all the time, every time. 100% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Yeah, Sex Panther.
Yeah, pretty much. And or you got summoning. And I was looking at summoning as, okay, well, I have to buy this model in my crew and not put it on the table. I'm thinking Deep Strike. I'm thinking Warhammer because that's where I came from. And here it is that, no, you don't. You go, I want to summon a Windgamon. And a Windgamon is like a 5-point model. So it's a toughness, 10. You add the cost of the model to the toughness 10, and you got to beat a 15 on a flip. That's not that hard to do.
No. Especially if you got the right hand. You can guarantee it.
You're already starting with like a stat 6, I think. So boom, all I got to do is get a 9. And if I can't get it, I'll cheat it. It's a simple duel. It's easy.
Yeah.
And boom, 15. There's a Windgamon. You got to put an upgrade on them where they start the game with slow, but whoop-de-doo. Their first activation, they get one action. Okay.
Yeah,
after that, they're back to normal. Yeah, you're still putting more models on the table.
Yeah.
And
that definitely puts the onus on your opponent. Because you didn't realize that the way you were playing it, you were coming right at me thinking, you had to make things happen, where reality is you should have been holding him back.
Yeah.
And just spitting these gaming out every turn and making the onus on me to force my way through your line to get to him.
Right.
To keep you from getting all these free models.
Right. And you can do a thing too with him where based on the elements and whatnot, like if you summoned, I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, I'd have to look it up again to be sure. But if you summon multiple of like Fire Gammon in, so, okay, here you are. Control hand has a red joker. You go, I'm going to summon 3 Fire Gammon in. And you need a 15. Or not a 15.
So it doesn't limit the number you can summon in as well? Oh, that's amazing.
No, you total up the cost of the models of every model that you name.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then you add it plus I think it's like plus 10 or whatever to it. And then whatever his difficulty is. So then you can just red joker that shit into existence. Well, and I can't remember what ability it is, but if there's 3 or 4 models of the same summoning all right next to each other, they can combine to create their golem version. So you can have 3 or 4 Fire Gammon that pop out, and then boom, they're a fire golem.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that basically tells you right there if you luck out. I mean, there's an idea right there just for using like a soulstone build out of him.
Yeah.
Where you're gonna, that turn one, okay, I'm gonna spend 5 soulstones and get myself 10 extra cards. You're fishing for that red joker so you can pop it out on turn 1.
Right, and be like, cool, screw you.
Yeah, not to mention you're gonna be sitting there with your joker on turn 1, and on turn 2 you're gonna be dropping that, going to the king. You're
going and doing more,
You're set up to do that every turn and just summoning a mob of them.
Yep.
That's a way to play it.
And that's kind of the way the summoning works. Yeah. And that's what he does. I wasn't doing
very
that.
different than the way you were playing it.
Yeah. I wasn't doing that at all. So what happened was I was just getting kind of raffle stomped.
Yeah. Although that time you blew up on a Suva all up in my grill. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that did hurt.
Yeah, that was fun. That crew, Victoria Chambers crew, after I played it a couple times, that bitch is nasty.
Yeah.
Because every single thing she's got, it's a movement crew, and I'm learning that as I've gotten older, I'm looking at these games differently, and I used to think about the games in terms of winning based on firepower and things like that. No, sir. Games are won and lost in the movement.
Yes.
Totally.
It's kind of like what I like about my Neverborn. It's the same kind of thing, but in a different way, where you're doing all the movement tricks where it's effective because people get their minds wrapped around the idea of the way the board stands, and then you just change everything with all of this big movement tricks, and okay, now the whole battlefield looks differently. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, but obviously different for like the Neverborn, is they have all of these really weird defenses. And so like they don't all defend the same. Well, this one defends against attack damage. Well, this one, every time you attack it, it does this weird flip, and it might use one of your abilities against it and not take the damage. And so unless you know the crew, you don't really know how each one of them defends, because most of all the other crews I've seen, they all have their attack, they have all their different tricks and their attacks, but they all pretty much have the same kind of defenses. Right. How they take damage. And that, I think it gets kind of tricky to a lot of people, is they just don't, okay, which one is this and how does this one defend and how does that work?
Right. And that's exactly it. And then, their stuff is all movement, they have some decent attacks, ranged and melee, but it's all about how you move around the board and do things. And then I bought a crew to be my kind of next main crew, which is the Parker Barrows. He's an outcast, and all their stuff is just, it's a lot of ranged, but it's just stupid shit. I steal your cards. I steal soul stones. Yeah, dude.
You dirty bitch.
It is all kinds of bandit shenanigans. There is literally like one of the abilities I think on him is called what is it? Like give me the loot or something like that. And basically, like, you do a thing, and what happens is if you kill the model, you get a soul stone. You don't just get a soul stone, your opponent loses a soul stone, and you get it.
Now, they have no soul stones.
Yeah, if it's a soul stone it has to be a soul stone using model. That's one of the prerequisites.
But let's say you don't have any. What happens then?
Well, then I don't get one, obviously. Because I don't have one to take.
Because that was one of the interesting things, like with Baby Cade. Mm-hmm. And before they changed it, one of the early abilities it had was when it would... You use this ability and you flipped, I think it was crows at the time. Mm-hmm. If you triggered that ability, the other opponent had to spend either discard a card,
right,
or spend a soul stone, or you just flat out kill the model. And it very much changed. I mean, with the new change in the rules, you definitely can then use Baby Cade more early in a turn, because with that ability, it didn't make sense to use Baby Cade anything other than your last activation,
right?
Because you were hoping that the other player was out of cards in hand, so you're getting one of his soul stones out of it. Or if he actually has no soul stones and has no cards, you can run up on one of his biggest models and be like, "Oh, he's just gone."
Yeah,
all wounds done. So, but yeah, they got rid of that. I was sad. I cried a little.
Yeah, that's
I did cry a little bit.
Little beefy.
You were there that night. I was a little bitchy about that.
Yeah.
I was upset.
You cry a lot.
A lot. I do.
Yeah. He if he doesn't have his teddy when he tries to go to bed, it's scary. He also has a little footy pajamas with a butt flap.
Yeah, but I wear it in the front, so it's okay.
I know. And terrifying. But yeah, that's always the cool thing about Malifaux is how the crews work. Because I was playing Rasputina for a while, and I played probably about 3 games with her and her crew, And I honestly, I'm not getting the build right because I know that the crew can be decent, but I have had very mixed success with it and just not. They're very slow, and Malifaux is a lot about the movement. Which I mean, any miniature game is about the movement.
Oh yeah,
but it is very hard to offset the slowness of them. I think I'm going to try it with some ice dancers. Because they're really fast. And putting some fast models in there, I think will work a lot better. But, in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of go, okay, cool, whatever, and just kind of work with what I got and do what I got and make things happen. But that's kind of Malifaux in a nutshell. And I guess we will probably, like I said, since this is going to be a little bit shorter episode, I think we're going to take a quick break here and kind of do our thing. And then when we come back, we might go over a few more things and then go into the whole Imperial Newswire, or maybe we'll just do that when we get back. Yeah, and do the whole battle reports and let everybody on the Hobby League that may be listening. We love you guys.
We do.
Great.
So much.
All of you. You are all amazing people.
Yeah.
And I want to hug every single one of you.
Call the social worker. It's going to get weird.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Or DFAX, just straight up. I mean, because...
are some of the minors? Yeah, we might need to be careful.
I don't think any of them are minors.
Okay, get them on. Yeah.
I'm going to wear a bikini.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Bikini.
But anyway, hammock time.
I am going to, because this will be a shorter episode, I am going to try and record again as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, right now, this is the busy season for my work, so I am a bit swamped with everything. But as soon as we can get another episode out, we can. I just did not want to go another week without releasing something because you guys would start forgetting about us. All right, we're going to take that break, and then we'll come right back. All right, and we're kind of done with our break, and we're just kind of bullshitting around a little bit. We did actually, though it will probably be after this for you guys, we did actually just kind of record the Imperial Newswire thing. What? Oh, okay. Jeremy was trying to tell me something with weird finger dances, and I didn't know what he was trying to say.
It was very inappropriate, but I don't regret any of it.
You shouldn't. And he said something about putting his finger in my belly button. I told him that wasn't my belly button. He said that's not his finger either. Yeah.
Miscommunications abound.
Yeah. Just so y'all know, as we continue along the Hobby League thing, some of the progressions of this will get better. This has been a kind of an impromptu and thrown together podcast. And like I said, it's about half the length of a normal one just because it has been an overwhelming several weeks for me. And this is kind of the best I can do. I apologize for it. And if you are a first-time listener joining us, usually you can look through the previous episodes and know that, yeah, we do pretty good. And next time, I'm not going to throw a kernel at Jeremy's way. Apparently, rank just kind of throws him off. What?
Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Live enough. Yeah. I mean, we're recording, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing things. We're making things happen. I don't give a shit anymore.
No, not at all.
I'm just kind of, doing stuff. Jeremy and I are actually about to play a game testing out our 750 point lists. We're going to see how that goes. I have a feeling it'll be pretty cool. We did not get a chance to play each other at the actual Hobby League games. So it'll be a lot of fun to see how
we would have fared,
do against his crazy mortar line of doom.
Nice.
All those strength 4 AP0
I'm saying like something
attacks.
like Temple of Doom letters from like Indiana Jones.
We should do that. And everything. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, we do our Hobby League up at Vendetta Games in Dahlonega. It is something that is great for new players. You can come on in. It is very important. The nature of the Hobby League is to do the hobby. I want to see painted models and everything. And for those who do play, I'm going to warn you, as of next game, we didn't really use them much this game, but as of next game, the Duncan stratagems, which were actually given, I actually got them from the independent characters community from their podcast. They're probably one of my favorite group of podcaster guys. And Adon had made them up for events that he ran. He's one of the regular hosts on there, and he's an awesome dude. He actually flew down and got tattooed by me. Just specifically because of some tattoos I'd posted that were 40K related in the independent characters community. He's like, I'm going to come down and have you do my next one. and he is an awesome dude. And I grabbed his files and asked him, said, hey, do you care if I use the, Duncan stuff for the hobby league I'm running? And he's like, no, go for it. So I grabbed them, and just so you know, there are 3 different stratagems. They all give bonuses to doing things against unpainted models. The top one is a 3 CP stratagem that will let you remove an unpainted unit on a 5-up. That's a unit, not a model.
Ooh,
unit.
I can't wait to use it.
Lets you remove them on a 5-up. If you spend additional CP, you get to remove it on a lower number. So if you spend 4 CP, you're removing it on a 4-up. You spend 5 CP, you're removing it on a 3-up. Yep.
Can I still spend a CP to re-roll a roll?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because if you really want to, yeah. As long as you haven't, re-rolled it already, you're fine. By the rules of the game. So that all being said, also for you new players, I do want y'all to know that the reason I do the Hobby League is because I believe very thoroughly that the hobby is the most important thing. Have fun with it. Paint your models, build your models, play your games. Those are fun. That's all part of the hobby. Enjoy yourselves. But remember, it's not about winning.
No.
It's about having fun. It's about getting to know the guy across the table from you. It's about building a community. And
absolutely, yeah.
That's what I'm all about. I started this several years ago when we moved into the house that I live in now. And we set up the garage a little bit to kind of be a little bit of a gamer thing. It didn't quite work in that section of the house as well as I thought it would, but we did that for a little while where I just invite people over. I didn't know of a lot of the game stores nearby. I didn't know a lot of the people around, and so I started just inviting people over and trying to build kind of a community that way. It kind of got stale because, well, I didn't really know what I was doing. And then having, met Paul and Nate and seeing how amazing those guys are up at Vendetta and, working with them on the podcast and everything, I put together, kind of the idea for the Hobby League and the bare bones idea and proposed it to Paul. And he said, yeah, man, come on, let's do this. Because I was originally going to do it out of my house just with, you guys that I know. And then we did it there, and it stayed pretty much with, the group that we have, It was me and you and Derek and Adam and Nick and Cody. And
but this tournament we've had at Vendetta this time has been great. There's been a great group of people and a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Paul told me that all told, I believe we had 18 players.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, they were having to set up new tables and things like that and having to do, other things to make sure that everybody got their games in and everybody had fun. And that's what I like to see. I loved looking around and seeing that game store filled with people playing and having fun.
Absolutely.
And the getting into it, I looked over and I've met, I believe his name's John. He's a good dude. He's playing with, I believe his name was Austin, the guy you played first game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the table kind of next to where you were. And I hear John rolling dice and going, for the Emperor! And I'm like, that is what I love to hear. Like,
yeah, he was having a good time. I was hearing him a bunch. I can't remember half of what he was saying over there, but he was cracking me up.
Oh, yeah, man. Have fun. Get into it. That's what the game is for. You're pushing toy soldiers around.
Yeah. Which also goes back to what you were talking about, paint your models. Because,
right.
it's, when your models are painted, it doesn't even matter how good they're painted. Just when there's some color on them and you've got your table set up and there's the terrain put out and your opponent's models are painted, you start getting those little stories in your head and like, why is this happening? And when it's just gray plastic, it just doesn't come as readily to the imagination.
Right. It's gray plastic that at that point you're pushing green army men around the table.
All you're doing is math.
Yeah. And you're going, I roll dice, I do this, I do that.
Yeah.
But when you spent that time, when you sat there painting your models and, most of the stories I think up, like usually what I do is when I'm sitting there in Battle Scribe and I'm like figuring out my list, I'll come up with a name, like, okay, cool. I'm focusing on this right now. Like when I was kind of doing the Eldar list, I was like really learning a little bit about like the Hindu Sikhs and a decent amount of things about like Indian and Pakistani culture and stuff like that. And I was really kind of just looking into it for my own benefit and just for my own knowledge.
Absolutely.
And so I named my, Eldari craft world this very, Hindic kind of name. I believe I looked it up on the Google Translate. I like doing that. Like I'll type in like a name and do it in different languages until I kind of like go, oh, that's cool. And that kind of fits. And it ended up being like, the Craft World Sudara Matha or something, which it means like the shadow of death, and it was like, it was really cool. And I just kind of started getting these stories in my head. However, at the same time, like I said, I was just so bored with painting Eldar models. I just could not get excited.
Just couldn't do it anymore.
Right. And I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. This is not getting me going.
I can't believe I haven't gotten bored painting Guard yet. Like I want more.
Yeah, I don't get bored painting Guard, and it's anything that has that uniform, like kind of cloth texture stuff. I like painting that kind of stuff. And I don't mind Space Marines because even though they're kind of rigid plate armor stuff, it's not the same. The Eldar kind of bulbous, everything's curved.
Oh yeah.
That there's no hard edges to anything. It's like my painting style just doesn't work right with it, and things just don't turn out the way I want, and I kind of get frustrated, and I go, fuck it. But my Gene Stealer cults, I've got this whole like Cult of the Glimmering Dawn, and like this whole kind of thing where I'm starting to be like,
that whole army's got curves and edges, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, they are almost as detailed as like your Death Guard models.
Yeah,
and they are just that. I mean, I love those models. I mean,
I'm having a blast right now painting my Eisenhorn model.
Right.
Because I've jumped into this and I painted Guard, and it's just been a whole bunch of guardsmen, heavy weapons, a tank, and now I finally have this like first model that has all these little detailed bits on it where it finally feels like paint by number, and I've got all these little things that I can do, and I don't have to come up with it myself. I just this gets painted this gets painted this, and you're just watching it come together. It's so enjoyable.
Right. And that's like some people get really intimidated by the, models with detail to them.
If anything, it makes it easier.
You're right.
I brought this up at the last podcast because I've also been trying to paint some of my board games, and I found the most challenging models to paint for me have been some of my board game models that have no detail. Right. They're very basic models. And so, I mean, you have to add that detail yourself, and it's very challenging when you don't know what you're doing yet.
Right.
You get done with it. You've painted it. You've colored a few different things, a few different colors. You've washed it. And there's still just not much going on there.
Right.
Like, okay, how do I make this look good? I don't know what I'm doing yet. Let me get online. Yeah. And now I'm just searching for ideas on how to detail these things because they're very basic.
Yep, and I've been getting into that, and I've also been like trying to fumble through and teach myself better airbrushing techniques. And I bought one of the Infinity CR Plus airbrushes.
It's pretty.
And, guys, honestly, this was, I talk occasionally with Caleb from CK Studios over Facebook. And I've been trying to set up to where they might come out here, hopefully towards the end of the year, and I
hope you make that happen.
Do an airbrushing 101 class. And I've kind of tried to get that in motion to set a few things up with that. And it's looking like it's probably going to happen, but we'll see. And in talking to him back and forth, he was like, man, I had Harder and Steenbeck Infinity and Evolution. I still have it. And I had my Sotar. And I almost never touched my Evolution right away because it would clogged. It was a little finicky. And I realized at the end of it that it was honestly user error. I was doing things wrong, which was making my use of that airbrush way harder. Mm-hmm. So kind of proper instruction and looking things up is great.
Yes. And when I got mine, I was struggling with clogging like that. And so I just, took the time to get online and look and figure out what I was doing wrong. And now, I can't go back.
Right. And there's a decent amount of tutorials and things that can help you out with that. And now that I got the CR Plus, it is a much finer needle, much finer spray pattern. And I started messing around with the artist inks over top of things and tweaking things here and there. And I'm like, man, this is amazing. I can never go back. Like, it's just, wow. I want to paint, you still have to use brushes no matter what. You still have to use your regular brushes, things. There's details and washes to be put on and things like that. You're never going to paint a model 100% with an airbrush.
Then there's just something satisfying about putting brush to model. Airbrush is great and it's speeds things up, and there's things you can't do with a brush that you can do with an airbrush, but there's still something very satisfying and visceral about the brush in your hand.
Right. And the more I get into it, the better I get with it, and the more fun I have with it. And that is a brush that is worth every single penny I spent on it. It is one of the more expensive airbrushes out there, but man, it is worth it. If you are serious about getting into airbrushing your models, save your ducats, make that airbrush happen, because it's awesome.
What I found with getting into the airbrush is just, I mean, it's an investment in your time. What you're able to do with an airbrush and how much time you save in it. It gets you through models much more quickly, which gives you that sense of accomplishment that much faster, which keeps you going. And, you get that, maybe you won't hit that frustration level so quickly.
Right. And having painted prior and done a lot of painting with non-airbrush stuff, I got to the point where I was like, okay, here I am getting back into this hobby. I work this much. I have a family. I do this. I do that. I have to figure out a way to get these models done faster. Otherwise, I can never finish an army. I just won't. And that got me into, doing the airbrush. Now, my AdMech that I did last year for Hobby League, I used almost no airbrush on them, aside from primering. But that was because I didn't really know how. I didn't understand how to use a lot of that. And I'd never really airbrushed before, and I was just getting into it and trying to figure things out. And, a lot of that, I wanted it to look good. And so I was like, I don't know how to do the effects that I want to do with an airbrush. So if I try to do them with an airbrush, it's not going to look the way I want it. It's not going to be up to the standard that I have, because I mean, I don't know if Jeremy would tell you this or not, but the people that do know me and have known me for a while will tell you that I kind of set my bar, my personal standards, like almost too high.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to do. I want to do it. Our Hobby League, if you put 3 colors on there, as long as you got 3 different colors and things are base coated in and they have paint on them, we're happy. You don't have to be a phenomenal painter.
No. That's not the point.
Right.
I mean, just having that little bit of color on there.
Right. Learn how to have fun with painting. Learn how to do your models the way you want.
Thin coats.
Yeah.
Thin coats.
Right. And enjoy it. Whatever it is, I want you to look at your model and go, cool, I'm glad I put that on there. And if you don't like it, then, that is. And some people just don't get into painting and they hate it. But, the idea is I want you to find ways to cope through. And anybody who does come to our events, we do every 2 weeks, we're doing a Sunday that is an actual, hobby day where we're just going to hang out and paint and talk and bullshit and talk shit at each other. And then, the other, every 2 weeks, we're going to do the other one. That's the battle.
Now, you planning on bringing your airbrush to that one again?
Yes.
Right. And I'll bring mine.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get any base coating, anything like that, Xanathol shade, all that, we can knock it out for them.
Yep. I don't know how much I'll be doing for other people, because I do have to get my own shit done, and I don't have a lot of time to get my shit done.
Well, I'm in good shape, so I can basically focus on helping other people out, because I don't have much to paint before. I've got to paint like 4 models between now and the next month.
Right.
So I'm good.
But people are more than welcome to watch and see what I'm doing, and I will explain to you what steps I'm doing with my own models, so you can see what's happening, so that you can go, oh, cool, that's what I need to do. If you want to be that way. If you don't, then don't. I mean, I don't give a shit. Do your hobby the way you want to do it, but just do it. So, kind of with that being said, and a little bit on the painting segment, I guess we will sign off on this about half-length podcast here. And I will release it soon. I've got some editing to do because I want to tweak some things and add in some sound effects for the, kind of battle report segment at the end and stuff like that. So we'll do all that. And then hopefully we'll see you guys another week or two. Won't be more than 2 weeks till I do another podcast.
All right. Happy gaming, all. Thin coats. Paint those models.
Yeah, thin coats. Good evening, loyal citizens and faithful worshippers of the God Emperor of mankind and Holy Terra. May the Emperor protect you and guide you in these times of trouble. Here in the Interitus system, My name is Jarrus Revoke, and I am here reporting for the Imperial Voxcast in the Interitus system, as I have said before. Just so you know, and many of you have noticed, that there is no reason to panic. We seem to have been beset upon by what is rumored to be chaos fleets and numerous Xenos incursions. These things are kind of just business as usual for us, and we know that our Omniscient Mechanicus overlords in the Forge Worlds and our Imperial PDF defenders will keep us safe in the times and trying troubles to come, along with a strong and steady faith in the God Emperor of mankind. Should you feel your faith wavering, please report to your nearest ecclesiarchy chapel, or you can even visit an Astra Militarum commissar, and I'm sure they'll set you straight. Speaking of the Astra Militarum, I am here right now with Colonel von Strauss of the local PDF regiments. He has a few things to say. He's been fighting on the front lines against these incursions. Colonel, how are you doing today?
Very good, Citizen Revoke. How are you today?
I'm doing great. May the Emperor protect.
And you as well, sir.
Thank you, sir. Here on the planet Gamaliel, which is where we are based, we have seen many of the Forge Worlds. None of the Forges have been threatened by any of the incursions. Is that true, Colonel?
That is absolutely true. There's been fierce fighting on many of the lines, but the Imperial Guard, as well as his Emperor's legions of Space Marines, have been able to hold back the Xenos scum, as well as the heretics that plague this universe.
Now, have we seen any of our Mechanicus cohorts working with your regiments yet?
Not at this time. I haven't seen any myself, but they pretty much keep their own counsel, and I just get reports on what they're doing and when they're doing it.
That's good. We've also had reports from several of our citizens who said they have seen drop ships bearing some of the markers of the Emperor's Angels of Death, the Adeptus Astartes. Is that also true?
Absolutely true. They're down here getting the job done for our citizens.
Awesome. That is amazing and great news to hear. I'm sure the Xenos will fold like paper.
You better believe it there, bucko.
Yes, amongst the combined strength of both the Adeptus Astartes and the Astra Militarum. We have had other things. There have been reports of uprising within the hive cities, within the cities themselves. Do you know anything about those, Colonel?
I know that if the local constabulary don't get this in line, we're going to step in and take care of this ourselves.
I certainly hope you boys do. The Adeptus Arbites, I'm sure, though, are doing a fine job themselves to keep our citizens safe. All of you need to report to your shifts in the foundries and workplaces as per normal, because without your sacrifice and the sacrifice of thousands and billions of martyrs prior to you, the Empire could not be the amazing place it is today.
Well put. Another way is give me my bullets or I'll have your ass.
That works too, Colonel. Bit different take on it, but we do like that. So, being so close to the Cicatrix Maledictum, have any of your soldiers reported warp sickness or anything like that on the lines? I've heard that these things can happen in some of these other planetary systems. We think we're safe from it, though, because our faith shields us.
Absolutely. There's rumors of these things all the time. I myself have seen no evidence other than, the mutated bodies of those who have been in the explosions, but that absolutely proves nothing.
Right. It never does, because explosions can actually mutate bodies themselves, so I have been told. Several of the sanctifier temples and things have told me quite a bit about, the weird things that have been out there in the dark, so they say. And I'm reassured that those are relatively normal and just kind of happen.
Absolutely.
We've also had reports the Tau have been seen in system. Do you know anything about that?
All I know is we'll send those grass eaters back to the hoof eaters they came from.
That sounds like a wonderful world. You know they don't even have warp travel?
Figures.
How backwards is a race that can't even contemplate the basics of interstellar transit? And I've also heard that their weapons are incredibly weak and stand up not a bit to the wonders and the guiding faith and shielding of Imperial flak armor.
They're basically a bunch of cows firing pop guns, yes.
That's awesome, Colonel. I love to hear these things. Amongst other stuff, we've heard that the dreaded greenskins have been seen out in the wastelands, running races in ramshackle buggies is the specific verbiage I was given.
Yeah, the WOG, and users at home, I'm doing the air quotes. The WOG is definitely tearing through the battlefield. I don't know what they're up to. They're not engaging anyone. They just keep screaming and moving on. It's very disappointing. We came here to kill them, and they don't want to stand still. It's frustrating.
And all of you Imperial citizens know that orc technology is vastly inferior to every technology out there. They just kind of bolt things together, and we don't even know how it works, why it works, or why should it work. And it can generally be pulled apart easily by your average Imperial Guardsman's las gun. Isn't that correct, Colonel?
Absolutely.
Amongst other things, we have also seen that amongst with the supposed rumors of these incursions and whatnot, we've heard that some of the heretic legions are in orbit around the system and trying to land troops. Have your men seen any of that?
There was an instance where we had some militarum faced off with some Astartes of a particular faction whose name is redacted at this time. But yes, there has been some conflict between the two. Whether or not they are heretical at this time is beyond my pay grade, to be quite frank. All I know is they shot at us, we shot at them, they died.
Unfortunately, that is sad to hear, unless, of course, they were the enemies of the Emperor, in which case, by Holy Terra, their weaknesses have been exposed in death. Just so you know, Imperial citizens, that is about all of it for this Imperial Voxcast, letting you know and reporting to you from the front lines of Gamaliel with the might of all these different ships showing up. And a lot of people don't even know why they're showing up. Do you have any thoughts on that, Colonel?
Shoot them first, sort it out later.
Sounds good to me. And remember, don't be late to your work shift. Listening to this Voxcast is not an excuse to your supervisors. You will be docked pay, and you know what docked pay means. You're not going to feed those mouths at home. Good Imperial citizens, enjoy yourselves, and we hope to see you at Ecclesiarchy Services on a day coming up very, very soon. Thank you very much. This is Jairus Revoked signing off with Colonel von Strauss.
I get my bullets or I get your ass.
Sounds good, Colonel.